Powered by the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
President Trump is slated to speak at the UN nearly 1 year after that famous Rocket Man speech directed at Kim Jong-un. I'm Laura Podesta. I'll tell you which country is expected to be the recipient of the president's harsh rhetoric this year.
And closer to home, federal judge says no to grizzly hunting in Idaho and Wyoming. Coming up, why the judge says the plan was not good enough to help protect bear populations.
Good morning to you and welcome to your Tuesday. It is 6:31. Our top story for you now. President Trump addresses the United Nations General Assembly in New York City this morning. Now, last year he threatened North Korea, but this year he has a new target. CBS's Laura Podesta is in New York with the details.
At the United Nations General Assembly last year, President Trump had threatening words for North Korea. Going into his speech today, the president has a far different tone.
We'll be having a second summit.
Yesterday, during a meeting with South Korean President Moon Jae-in, President Trump said a second meeting with Kim Jong-un will happen as they work toward denuclearization.
I see tremendous enthusiasm on behalf of Chairman Kim toward making a deal.
In today's address, President Trump is expected to focus his harsh rhetoric on Iran, which he's accused of promoting terrorism. Earlier this year, he pulled the U.S. out of the Iranian nuclear agreement and reimposed sanctions on the country.
You can bet the president will have well-deserved strong words for the Iranian regime, which is among the worst violators of UN Security Council resolutions, if not the absolute worst.
The president's top foreign policy aides say they will not continue to accept Iran's behavior. But Iranian President Hassan Rouhani told NBC the threat is an empty promise.
Perhaps on this path we will sustain certain pressures, but certainly the United States will not reach its objective.
The president's speech to the 73rd UN General Assembly is also expected to, once again, highlight an America First agenda. Laura Podesta, CBS News, New York.
Now, the president has said he pulled out of the nuclear deal with Iran because it wasn't strong enough and didn't cover other issues like Iran's ballistic missile program. Again, speaking later today at the United Nations.
I'm sure CBS This Morning will have much more about it as well.
Absolutely.
Matt joins us now. A little sprinkly, rainy start to the day.
Damp roadways for parts of southwest Montana this morning. Temperatures are cooling off quickly with the clearing skies. Most areas holding into the 30s, 23 this morning in West Yellowstone. Look outside this morning. Again, a little frosty for a few areas. 34 right now at Bozeman Yellowstone International. 30 degrees at Burt Mooney. I do expect our temperatures to warm into the afternoon. Talk about how long this warm-up's going to last. That's all coming up in a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. 6:33 now. A U.S. District Court judge has overturned a decision by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service which removed protections for grizzly bears living outside Yellowstone National Park. The decision stops plans by Idaho and Wyoming to allow grizzly bear hunts this fall. U.S. Fish and Wildlife and the wildlife agencies in Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana argued the bears have recovered to the point that the grizzlies in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem no longer warranted special protection. But the judge said the service failed to make a reasoned decision as required by law, that changing the protections for bears around Yellowstone wouldn't also impact grizzlies in other areas, like the Northern Continental Divide.
The most immediate thing we were concerned about was that Wyoming and Idaho had plans in place to kill up to 23 grizzly bears this fall in a trophy hunt that would have been the first in more than 40 years in the Yellowstone region. So this ruling means that that can't go forward and those bears won't be killed for trophies.
Now, it's not yet known whether the Fish and Wildlife Service will appeal the judge's ruling.
And last night, Bozeman opponents proposed the limestone west timber sale in the Gallatin Range foothills to make their views clear in a public hearing. MTN's Badaris Babb was there. The Department of Natural Resources and Conservation representatives got an earful.
Hundreds of people gathered here at Montana State University to give their say on the proposed limestone west timber sale. Most people urged DNRC to not log in the area, saying that it will impact the landscape as well as the wildlife.
Well, it is the last piece of habitat that is relatively undisturbed in this section of the Gallatin Valley. And we all know how fast the Gallatin Valley is growing And that makes this even more important.
For others, logging this area is important because they say it will create Montana jobs, bring in more money to schools, and reduce fire danger.
You're looking right here at a 10-year-old. I would argue that he is the biggest endangered species in the state of Montana. Yes, is there going to be some impacts from timber harvest? Absolutely, there's going to be. But it's a temporary. I like the gentleman over here that talked about long-term. This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for my grandson, my great-grandson. Are we going to have infrastructure and industry?
A homeowner near the area, Helen McCarty, says the most disturbing part about the proposals is putting in roads where the landscape is very steep and unstable.
So all you guys that are for logging, this is not the place. It hasn't been logged for 100 years, and there are good reasons why it hasn't been logged for 100 years. It's a bad place to try to get the logs out. It's a dangerous place for people to be and a great place for the wildlife to be.
DNRC did ask anybody that made public comment to also submit a written statement that they would later use when they made their decision. In Bozeman, Medeiros Babb, MTN News.
Now, public comment will be accepted through October 30th. For more information on where to email that public comment, head on over to our websites.
And if you missed your chance to see Vice President Mike Pence while he was in Billings, second in command will be back in Montana very soon. This time, Pence will be campaigning for Matt Rosendale in Bozeman at the Allen County Fairgrounds on October 2nd. That's next Tuesday, exact time not yet known. Pence and the president himself have both been to Montana a number of times to campaign for Rosendale in his bid against incumbent Senator John Tester.
And people will get the chance to start voting in favor of a historic Butte landmark that could also help restore it. The Ma Wei Chinese Museum in Butte's historic Chinatown is one of the 20 sites chosen in the Partners in Preservation campaign that allows people to vote online for their favorite historic site. The top finishers in this month-long voting process will get a $150,000 grant to go towards restoring that structure.
And they will use that for a bricks and mortar project to restore the buildings that are there on West Mercury Street. It's for the roof, for the walls, for the windows. It's money that is really hard to come by, bricks and mortar money.
Now, voting started yesterday, and you can vote online up to 5 times a day. VoteYourMainStreet.org/Butte. Voting continues until October 26th.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Good luck. And totem poles tell a story, whether it's the story of an indigenous people or in more modern times, maybe it's someone's imagination.
Either way, making them a labor of love and true artistry. In this week's Montana Made, Justine Stewart takes us to the Bitterroot Valley, where one man is bringing people's dreams to life.
This is the start of what will become an intricate, colorful, and magnificent work of art. George Gooley is a second-generation carver whose talent for hand-carved wood creations has taken his business to new heights. It all started out humbly enough, learning the trade from his father, who had been a wood carver for years.
When I was 26, I got to thinking, what a shame if I never asked my father to really teach me, at least to know how to do it, or maybe it could work into something, maybe not. But I just saying, all this knowledge that he has, what if I just never learned it? And I got to thinking, this might be something I'd be good at. I'm not, but I was just open to learn. So I finally went to him and says, Dad, I really want you to teach me.
And it's a good thing he did. Gooley's work is so good, it's earned him an international reputation as a skilled carver.
Eventually, I started to get a specialized customer. First of all, we were doing stuff that was reasonably affordable, and then some special orders, but it started to get that I was getting a list of clients that wanted something special. So that kind of changed things around. Do I continue going into a volume, or do I more specialize in something I really more would enjoy doing?
As his focus changed, so did the product to totem poles, which are hard to miss if you're driving on Highway 93 in Victor. Hard at work in his studio, Gooley spends countless hours bringing his customers' dreams to life.
I have a connection with my customers, and it's both a memorable experience for me as them. And we really, and I'll come here, we'll be talking, and I really get to know them, what their interests are, things that they really they have in their imagination, and they're looking for someone that could put this together. And so I'll do that for them.
Which takes some time, as there is a wait list, which can be anywhere from 6 months to a year.
Less customers, but better work.
Each piece is unique, and you can't rush perfection.
There's a lot of things to bring beauty to art, and it's not just getting the detail, but it's bringing a feeling and meaning to it.
Gooley says most of his work goes to resorts, wealthy property owners, and businesses, but not always. Some of it does stay local.
I'll get people from the Bitterroot Valley, and they'll be maybe into their senior years, and they go, you know, I've been putting this money away, and I'm getting at the end of my life. I'm like, what am I going to do? Wait till I'm 80 years old to spend it, you know? And they go, we've always wanted one of your, you know, your works of art, a totem pole, and they get a reasonably priced totem pole.
When I asked Gooley if he had any favorite pieces, he said it would be too hard to choose. He's made so many and spent so much time on each piece that they are all special. And what makes it even better is seeing his customers' reaction to the finished product.
I'm not just selling something to put in my pocket. I'm selling an experience and a moment of joy.
In Victor, Justine Stewart, MTN News.
Now you can find out how to get in touch with Gooley's Totem Poles by visiting our websites.
Pretty fascinating.
Beautiful.
Love that.
Absolutely beautiful.
We do have to take a quick break, and we are 6 weeks out from Election Day. Up next, our chief political reporter, Mike Dennison, breaks down some of the campaigns and some of the candidates.
But first, we're going to check in with Gail King, see what's coming up at 7 o'clock on CBS This Morning.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS This Morning, Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh forcefully denies the assault allegations as he defends his reputation. Democratic Senate Judiciary Committee member Amy Klobuchar joins us with questions that she has ahead of Thursday's hearing. And we'll introduce you to the chef using 3D printing technology to change the way we cook. How does that work? We'll explain. We'll see you at 7 o'clock on the dot.